Hi, I'm Seamless, and today I'm going to show you how to make this bass. Uh, 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 uh. Okay, so this bass is actually really simple. Like compared to most of my stuff that I do, it's actually ridiculously simple, at least to do. So I'm going to do this one from scratch, because I could do that. Harmer, please. Let's put you in a channel where I can turn you down, because by default you are loud. I believe I have this, yeah. Alright, so, first step, make it a bass. There's a couple ways you can do this. Like, I typically tend to just slide pitch down. You could also just do that. Same effect. This is a make it a bass. Next step, turn on unison to 9. Turn to unison to Hertz mode. Be weirded out by that odd sound and then turn to phase down just slightly. That's actually pretty cool. Already, it's actually reminiscent of a really old bass that I had done once upon a time, but not what we want. So right-click this, go to Edit Articulator, and right-click anywhere to create a point. Make it kind of long, and then sort of have like that kind of tension downfall. Engage it. And then turn it up a little bit because it's kind of quiet. That's more or less what I wanted. Have a little bit of prism on just for a little bitness. And then turn it into a square. There's two ways you can do this. The way that I like to do it is to use the detune option to set it to 2. You can also just turn it up over here. As you can see, there's a bit of a timbre difference to that. And the reason for this is that this one gets to the square wave by turning off certain harmonics, and then this one gets to square by moving the harmonics to the same position. And I like to keep that way because this means that I still have as many harmonics active as I did a minute ago, and any information that I had applied to these harmonics will still be present, just applied higher. So then go to distortion, distort it a little bit, turn up the filter all the way, and kind of there is fine. And then filter. That's more or less what was up. Ah, yes, the stereo. Engage panning. And now we can turn it back up because the sound is attenuated enough that it's not super duper loud. So now that we've made the sound, let's actually talk about why this is happening the way it is and why we use the Hertz mode. The Hertz mode is probably one of the cooler things. At least I nerd out a little bit when I think about it, just because of what it does. And this has to do with weighted harmonics. So if we look at an equalizer, we get this idea that the lower frequencies are spread out a little bit more, at least visually, than the higher frequencies. Like 50 to 100 is this huge expanse versus 5,000 to 10,000 is the same expanse. So like they are weighted in a different way. Yes. So when we have a normal sound, like a complex waveform, like a saw wave, and we want unison, or we want to change the pitch of it rather, we turn it up, and then the sound actually moves. I can actually demonstrate this. Let's do that. Let's have a demonstration. This tutorial is basically done. Like the patch is in the description, and you already know how to make it. So that's all you wanted. That's pretty much it. But I want to explain some cool stuff. If you want to hear some cool stuff, let's stick around and let's talk about some cool stuff. So saw wave, and then all right. So watch the EQ for a second. When we look at the harmonics as we're moving them around, we see that they all move around the same space, the same distance, visually. So this is like 60-ish hertz, and this is like 80 hertz. So it moves about 20 hertz on the fundamental tone. But then over here, that same distance up on here is 275 hertz to about 300 and something hertz, like that. So it moves a bit. That's more hertz. That's more. It moves 20 hertz on the low end, and then like 40-ish hertz on a little bit higher. And then like if I could differentiate the harmonics at the higher frequencies, we'd see that they'd move a lot more, hundreds. So the change in pitch of a frequency for a whole thing is an exponential difference between the lowest fundamental and the highest harmonic. And this is true for Harmor, for how it works additively. And the normal modes do that, so that when you change the pitch, when you do a unison thing and it spreads the pitch difference around, in order it keeps the sound together, which means it keeps all the harmonics at the same pitch together, so that it creates a one whole sound. And so this means that the higher harmonics have to move farther in hertz values to achieve that same pitch. What the hertz mode does is it takes away that difference. It makes it so that when you move something by a certain amount, it moves the whole sound around at the same hertz value throughout the whole thing. So it means that if the low frequencies move up 20 hertz, the higher frequencies are also moving up 20 hertz. And this makes the sound very different. And the most obvious demonstration of this, let's go back to this new one we made and make it default. You can kind of hear that difference, but then if we go to hertz, boy, that gets weird. And so it has a very odd kind of sound to it. And when we have 9 of these voices together, that creates an extremely unique sound, a very unique kind of washy, sort of square Reese sound. And that's very cool. Yes, so that's more or less it for this tutorial. I know I realized it kind of ended earlier, but now you know more interesting things. Harmor is a very interesting plugin, don't you think? If you have any questions about this, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day. Have the nicest day. Have a day so nice that you think it's a nice day.